Welcome back to Valley Life and Wells Fargo Friday, and I'm standing here actually in the education room at Clearpoint. I've come across the hallway now during the commercial, and we're kind of talking about when you've put your dollars and your time into a great organization like Clearpoint, how far it can really go to helping people. Sandy, before we went to break, we talked about $500,000 that Wells Fargo's contributed. Am I right on those numbers?
Absolutely, yes.
Now, Martha, that's a significant amount of money to somebody like me, but that also means you can operate a facility like this in a couple different rooms, have the counselors, the people available then to help those that want the help and the guidance.
Absolutely. With that funding, we've been able to help over 3,000 families get the services that they need, both in counseling and in education workshops.
You know what's funny is people don't ever put the money into perspective. But let's say we help somebody with $10 per person at $3,000, we're $30,000. At $100, $300,000. At $1,000, $3 million. It's amazing how fast that becomes more exponential. When you think of budgets of a whole city down $24 million, it's really easy to recoup that if you're teaching people how to save $1,000, $10,000, $20,000 a year. This is a grassroots effort at getting people back on track and putting money back into the community.
Exactly. And what we help families do is make sure they keep the money in their pockets. And that's so crucial. At times like these, when things are so tight for so many families, we want to help make sure that they're as careful and as thoughtful in what they're spending money on to make sure that they can achieve their financial objectives.
And are people just absolutely shocked when you put it on paper and they actually see, wow, I spent $500 on coffee last month, or how much those extra few trips to the store instead of making one trip a week, that kind of thing. When you break it down, how easy it is for people to get back on track and save some money.
It is. It's amazing how many families have little bits of money that go out here and there that keep them from achieving their goals, that if we sit down and come up with a budget and talk about objectives, that they can choose to spend their money differently.
Sure. And with you volunteering then with Clearpoint, one, you see that direct impact. Two, you see it on the other side as well with a financial institution where people can really start building their own wealth in savings and in checking accounts that continue to grow, which in turn completes the cycle and it's giving back to the community. So it's kind of like you're right in the middle of the entire wheel right now, making this all happen for people.
Right, and that's exactly what makes our partnership with Clearpoint so amazing, is because Clearpoint is touching the families, the people that are future customers for not just Wells Fargo, but other financial institutions as well. And because of Clearpoint's work, they're bringing to us stronger customers, more savvy consumers, and they're also helping families save and build towards a future where they can continue to build assets and take care of their families.
And that's kind of been Wells Fargo's vision when they told everybody, look, you're working for us, that's great, but you're now part of a family in Wells Fargo, which means we're going to be part of the community and go out and make those kind of things happen. So they've encouraged you to get out there and do it. But that then has just kind of opened up the heart a little bit more to realize that you're touching people on a direct level.
Right. And we're touching a lot of different people. The great thing about Clearpoint is they have counselors that can speak Spanish and Hmong, as well as English and other languages. And so they can provide these services directly in language and reach certain populations that may not think that they can come out and take advantage of Clearpoint services.
Sure. Martha, my sister, she's a neonatal intensive care nurse. And so you see these babies that are 1 pound and 2 pound that fit the palm of your hand. And then there's a wall of fame where afterwards, they're just happy, healthy 11-year-olds. You probably, after, the years in business and also with your reach and now becoming a big national corporation, have those success stories that people have come back and just grabbed your hand and said, Martha, thank you. You've turned my life around now. I have control of me instead of, money then taking advantage of me.
Absolutely. Seeing families be able to move forward out of a crisis situation, to getting out of debt, to buying their first home, to saving the home that they're in. There are many success stories out there, and it's so heartwarming to hear the different feedback from clients we've been able to help.
Sure. And a lot of people probably aren't in as big a trouble as they think. When they actually come in and sit down with you, you can say, look, first step, breathe. Let's take a look at this, see where you're at, and then start going through the motions. And they probably realize, you know what, this isn't going to take me. It took me a long time to get in this much trouble. It's not going to take me that long to get back out of it if I just follow the program.
In a lot of cases, the hardest thing to do is to pick up the phone, to call for an appointment. Once you get talking with a counselor, then people find it much easier to figure the path forward.
Sure. And Sandy, now with your volunteerism and being on board with this whole thing, you now are a direct impact on some of these success stories too, where you and Martha can just sit down and say, oh, you remember this, remember that person? They came in the other day and said hi, and you get to feel that now everything coming back, that what you've given now has come back 100-fold.
Exactly, and you're absolutely right about that. It's great to be able to catch up with Martha or one of the counselors here and hear about how a family has been helped or an individual has been helped. And I have personally referred family and friends over to Clearpoint. It's an amazing organization, and in if anyone is seeking just education about what their options are, if they're struggling, to manage their debt, if they're struggling because they've just lost their job, or if they're at risk of losing their homes, I encourage them to call Clearpoint and explore what options they have.
Sure. And Martha, we've run out of time, but basically what you need to do is just, like Sandy said, pick up the phone and call. That's the first step.
Absolutely. Pick up the phone or walk in our door.
I love it. Ladies, thank you so much for your time, not only right here today with us, but in volunteering and making this happen. Really appreciate what you're doing. And folks, if you're thinking, you know what, maybe I need to call and find out what the services are all about to decide if it's going to get me back on the financial path I need to be on, pick up the phone and make that call to Clearpoint and be one of the great volunteers like Sandy here at Wells Fargo. Don't go anywhere. There's more Wells Fargo Friday coming up on Valley Life right after this.